And we're live.
Oh, I need doing
And it
you.
worked. Okay, cool. All the sound's going.
I'm just so happy.
So, where we left
I'm
off
just
last
so
time,
happy.
you guys were hired. Basically, you were contacted by Obez, who's a fixer. He needed you to. He was giving you one of two jobs. You had to pick which job sounded the most interesting to you. One was a missing package from the port, and the other was to deal with some sort of prototype object that needed to be stolen. You went for the big money one, uh, which meant that you needed to meet with a with a Miss Johnson, uh, in a basically a bondage and pancakes restaurant located in the bottom of a nightclub that you were meeting with Mr. Johnson or with the fixer at. Uh, and so you are able to meet with folks and get everything set up. As you were leaving the nightclub, um, Beef was accosted by some thuggish individuals. At which point, everybody decided to square off in the middle of the street at about, let's say, around 8:30 p.m. outside of one of the most popular nightclubs in Vladivostok, and gun them down and remove the head of this guy that was harassing Beef. Uh, Under the watchful eye of way too many cameras. Way too many. And that's where we pick up, as everybody starts peeling away as fast as they can, knowing that they need to pick up uh, data, or basically pick up stuff from the port. Hey, thanks for joining us, Funked. So we've got the van, and we've got the uh, let's see, what else beside the van? We also have the limo, and you guys have left downtown. You know that you're roughly around 30, probably 30-minute drive at this time of night down to the port.
I will do whatever needs to be done to activate the license plate changer and spoof chip or whatever to change our identity once we're decent.
All right, yeah, the
And
definitely is something installed on the van.
pretty sure Fumiko got that installed. And yeah, I'll drop off Beef wherever he
It really is.
says that he wants to go when when he wants to like deal with
his head.
Yeah, Beef decides he wants to be dropped off somewhere with the head to dispose of it. I believe either Woden or Spin Jim was driving.
I think I was driving. Spin Jim likes to sit in the back playing with his drone.
Um, Spin Jim can drive. Spin Jim is happy to drive. Not quite as much fun as flying, but you know, it's something. Better than real life.
I was already saying I was in the driver's seat.
So one good thing might be for Spin Jim. One thing you could do is possibly send your drones out to recon the area before you guys arrive.
Yep. We can definitely do that again.
Now that you're getting closer to time and probably might gain some additional information.
Right. I mean, it sounds like we have a couple mini drones. we can definitely send those over. Do I know what the best way of having them get into the airspace would be?
Yeah. Well, let's start with give me some basic perception as your so e-warfare as you're you're scanning the outside, and also the trip from the van over. Uh, Woden and Blue was driving,
Okay.
and the limo. Woden is driving. So Woden, how are you heading towards the port?
Probably just taking a fairly well. I start out by going a little bit circuitous to try and lose any eyes while I'm dropping beef off, and then otherwise I'll probably just try to take a.
Okay. Just roll me a navigation.
Um, yeah, +2 for a.
+2 for the map soft, yeah. So those in the limo, you see Blue head north, away from the docks. And you see him tearing off, and at some point he starts to maneuver off into side streets, finds places to park, starts doing sort of the normal evasion. Probably very similar to what Woden is doing. You 2 successes totally are able to start running through some more circuitous routes, as well as places where you know there's additional like hanging buildings or places where you can get out of line of sight for aerial drones.
Do we have any deckers in the car with us? No, who's in the limo right now? Fumiko, Blue, because
I think I'm still in the limo.
Is Anbro in there?
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't think any of us can like do any electronic warfare, so we'll leave it up to Blue to drive us to wherever and dodge those cameras or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, he's using some fairly low tech counter espionage, but he seems like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, if he says he needs help, Chaos would help him, but otherwise she has been deep on her comm link this whole time.
I will. I'll tell the car to go ahead and change the chips and then change to a white color instead of black color.
Wait, you're telling me someone got beheaded? What did I miss?
So yeah, the eventually you guys start independently making your way back towards the port. Did Benjamin, did you have a chance to roll the E-War?
Oh, yeah, I didn't know. I wasn't sure what you wanted me to do. Okay.
Basically just perceiving first, and then we'll go from there.
See if I can do it last time.
Three successes. So, first thing you notice when you basically toss the drone out the back of the van, let that sucker fly up, and get a look around, you can see basically lights coming from all around. As it appears that there's some security forces that are descending on the nightclub. You are able to use that to send information to the group, and that helps guide them out of the net that's being sort of closed, and that does aid the team in basically avoiding that net.
Great.
As you start checking out the port, one thing that you notice is it appears that there's two main gates. The entire area is fenced, and so the south side of the port is basically where the boats would pull up. Sorry, the ships would pull up. If I said boat, my friend would kill me. So the ships will pull up for loading and unloading. There's approximately like a kilometer, maybe 3/4 of a kilometer between the water edge and the fence. And then the fence is sort of shaped like a C that goes and extends about 5 kilometers north to south, east to west, and that 3/4 kilometer north to south. The two gates are one is on the the northeast, and the other is on the northwest. You do notice that the fences themselves, they are about 4 meters, 5 meters tall. Chain link fence. You notice that there's razor wire on top, maybe monofilament. It's really hard to see at this sort of dusky time. You notice that the docks are in operation. It's currently 8:30 p.m. and they're still rolling.
I remember last time you said that it didn't seem like any of the drone traffic was crossing into the docks. Is that still the case? Are there drones going in through the gates? Like, what does the general traffic look like?
We're gonna do another E-War as you sort of set up in the long term, right? The quick snapshot is you didn't see anybody cross over, but if you want to spend a little bit of time and observe, maybe you'll spot somebody.
Yeah, I'm happy to spend a couple minutes looking. Another E-War.
Okay. Yeah, you watch for a few minutes, and in that time, like there is clearly like a DMZ between. You saw one drone go in.
Did the drone go in through the gate specifically?
No, they flew over the fence. But you notice that with 3 hits, you notice that the markings had a whooshing symbol on it.
I see. So would I expect that it would be harder to be noticed if, I crawled in rather than flying over the fence? I don't think I can spoof I can ask Rash if there's a way of spoofing a whooshing signal, but probably I just want to be noticed.
Yeah, probably. What exactly do you need it for? Just so I make sure I get the other right thing.
Just need to be able to not be harassed when looking around in the drone.
So you just need the drone to look like it's one of the
Like it
ones
belongs.
or the docks. Yeah.
I mean, Chaos offers you Mike Hawk. It has realistic features too.
I mean, I imagine that they're not, looking for objects and saying, there's a thing. Oh, that one looks like a drone, that one doesn't. I imagine they are scanning for signals. And if I could,
as long as you have me covering your signal as the pan lead, they're unlikely to see it.
sorry, could you say that again? I missed half of it.
As long as I'm covering your signal with my deck, they're unlikely to see the signal from your drone.
Okay, well, that would work then.
So it's planned.
So if you use the realistic looking one, then any workers won't be suspicious either.
Yep.
What's
So
planned?
the bird looks more realistic than the bugs. Is that right?
The bird drone is specifically designed to look like a real bird rather than just being a bug-sized and roughly shaped drone. Like it's got fake feathers and like it's designed to blend with animals.
I believe with the addition of realistic features, leave the
You're cutting out again.
the fly spy.
So the fly.
Only heard fly spy.
I blame Bluetooth.
Yeah, so the Fly Spy seems to have realistic features too. So it seems to be somewhat realistic. Maybe the bird is more realistic.
What's the rating on the bird?
2.
Okay. I
Yeah,
didn't realize they'd take the fly spy as a rating 2.
yeah. So you can use either. I do know that Chaos's version has a lot more advanced sensors, so that might be beneficial.
Oh yeah, no, I increased the pilot and the sensors, and it has some kick-ass auto softs on it.
All right, I should say this is it as a. It says have the following standard upgrades. I don't know if that means it comes with this or if that means that it's an easy thing to add.
If it's like a list that says it's standard upgrades, it's what comes already built in.
Okay.
There are a few that in the description that talks about something as a standard upgrade, but it's not listed. That's just descriptive.
Yeah, so here this is core vehicle modifications, says that Fly Spies have realistic features.
So yeah, it's totally up to you which one you want, and also what approach you want to try.
Okay. Well, I mean, if I don't need to worry about the signal, if Rash is covering it, then I am happy to fly in. You know, I could take the bird. I don't think I've ever flown the bird.
Yeah, it's only been used like twice, honestly.
Mm.
Yep.
And yeah, I should be able to cover the signal. One of the advantages of the PTAC system we got is that I can basically connect everyone and all of their stuff all together because I can cover. It can connect to a lot of stuff.
Okay. So I'll just fly in and take a look around.
Okay. Let me go roll some perception on this drone. That look. Average. Right. And so that has realistic features too. It does not exceed the threshold. So it does look like a bird. Kind of. A little bit disjointed, but enough that they don't, the workers there don't seem to notice.
Yeah, bird holding still is just a bird holding still.
Birds hold still really, really well.
And so, basically, what you get a sense of being inside the drone, and sort of looking around, is you can as the bird flies, like heads sort of turn towards it. As soon as it sets down on one of the cargo containers or sets down on a fence pole, people tend to ignore it. But each time it flies, it seems to be garnering a bit more attention than you would hope. But you were
I
able
see.
to cross into the area. The question is how much flying around are you going to do?
I think I'm gonna start by looking. So we're looking. I forget the name of the company that the container is in, but I remember that it's the same company that was
Maersk.
being loaded onto Maersk container, and I remember seeing a bunch of Maersk containers being loaded onto non-Maersk ships. So I guess the one thing that I would hope to find out just on a quick scan like this are all of the Maersk containers like moved off to one area and being like removed, or are they kind of spread out throughout the docks?
Use an E-warfare, but this time you're using like Hawk. So you may end up with a higher ability to get through, increased device ratings.
So I don't know. I'm still rolling E-warfare, and this is affecting stuff beyond my roll.
Correct. It's adjusting limits, so the number of hits you're able to take.
Okay.
Nice.
Granting yourself edge. Come on, man. I don't see that in the chat. So how many successes can you take, Chaos?
6.
All right, with 5 successes, you are able to spot a couple things. One, like this is a massive facility. It's not the biggest it's not the biggest port, but the way they've got things laid out, you get stacks of roughly about 5 or 6 high of cargo containers in a row. One thing does stand out. There is a set that do not have whooshing labeling on it, or even whooshing subsidiaries. There sort of seems to be this almost color coordinatedness amongst all the whooshing. There's a pile of cargo containers off to the north side of the port, basically right in the middle between the two entrances, the northeast and the northwest. And that has a pile of cargo containers that are a wider variety. There's about 60 of them.
60. Where are there like markings that are on the markings besides the kind of company that owns them on the cargo containers, like basically serial numbers or something that we could do in principle to track down whether
those
things
were
happen? Or is it all electronic?
AR tags or something.
AR tags.
So you could do a matrix perception from there, from inside the drone.
Okay.
It's electronics plus logic. Or sorry, computers. Computers. Sorry, addition bleed.
I will look around for that as well.
Yeah, because you're all in the same pan, so
Mhm.
you don't have any noise penalties.
There is my computers plus logic. Computers test, basically. I guess, yeah, right. Other people can also be looking through this, so sounds like Rash is going to see things much better than me.
Specializations. So with 2 successes, we'll start there. As you sort of look at the devices, there is thousands of basically matrix emitting devices near and around you. It's almost kind of overwhelming, and you can see a couple like drone ones as well, but it seems to be just like piles and piles of tags. It would take time to sort of hunt and sniff through. Rash, you know what you're looking for, and this is something that feels fairly familiar to you. You spot a number of the the sea of whooshing stuff, right? And then you spot the pile of non-whooshing cargo containers, and you can see, yep, these are security tags. Yes, I can see actually the tag I'm looking for. It is located on the northwest corner of this big mass of cargo containers, and it's up about 4 cargo containers high. And it does appear like there's another cargo container on top of it.
I'll mark it in the AR.
Great.
So I looks like we have found it, but that could be tricky to get a vehicle out of.
Yeah, so we're going to need to get in there. We're going to need a ramp or a crane or something to get the vehicle out. I guess what I'm going to do is, so this is all to the north of me.
Is this over comms or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think I should just fly over vaguely in that direction out of the docks, so we can put together a bit of a map of the area. Know how to get in, know how to get out, or at least know what there is in that area if we need to, hide or run or whatever.
Sorry, can you repeat what you were doing? So specifically, you were moving out of the dock?
I'm going to go out of the dock in the direction past this container so that I can, capture some video and put together a map of this part of the dock, the relevant part.
Okay, yeah, you have no problem doing so. You notice to the north along, so there's the fence line. The fence line has a concrete barrier. It's about a meter tall, and then above that is that fence with some sort of razor wire top. Past that is a fairly large sort of highway that's divided. There is 3 lanes going one way, 3 lanes going the other. And then across from that, looks like there's a bunch of medium-sized buildings, probably in the order of 12 to between 8 and 12 stories, sort of built along that roadway. All of them seem to have different sorts of neon labeling, ranging from small, like single A corps to local ma and pops, local. And so
I'll try to land on like an antenna or a power line for one of those buildings or something. Just, or not a power line. This is a drone. I assume it can handle an antenna. Just like something a little bit birdie. Make sure no one's watching this bird exit, and then I'll head back to the car.
Rash is going to note down the containers under the one we're looking for.
okay. Yeah, the ones underneath it appear to be all Maersk. It appears to be a Maersk stack. Is there something in particular that you're looking for? Like, they each have numbers, so you can take note of those numbers.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to get, the identifiers. So Rash will give their thoughts over the comms. So we're supposed to make this look like the car wasn't being stolen?
That it wasn't being removed with permission.
Right.
It look like it's being sold.
It's a Monday night, by
like
the way.
Or like it was just not there in the first place.
Right. But if someone happens to be looking for one of the containers underneath it, that means they're going to have to set it aside while they get that container out. and maybe a vehicle just goes missing from it while it's set aside.
That sounds pretty reasonable.
And that way, if anyone looks at, what was the goal of anything that was going on, assuming we leave any indication that we were there after something, it'll be after whatever that other container is as the target.
So can you find out what's in those containers?
I mean, it hardly matters. I've got the identifying numbers. If we can get somebody to, I could try to hack a command into the system to dig out one of those containers from the stack, or maybe just some sweet talking, whoever the crane operator is to dig out that shipment that's been stuck in customs, or that's been lost on the shipyard for so long. And then just while things are busy, get the vehicle out, get the container sealed back up, and do it smoothly enough. Maybe that nobody notices. And if not, we just make sure that we steal stuff from a bunch of containers so that it just looks like somebody was taking advantage of the situation.
Like, if we really wanted, I could also just like leave an illusion there, make it look like the car is still there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're using the car.
Open, yeah.
If we close the thing back up, I don't think they're going to notice that there's no vehicle.
Yeah.
I mean, they may have a recorded wait, that would be off, but
Oh, we can fix that too.
How long is your illusion gonna last?
Normally until I go to sleep. Depending on how much we're getting from this mission, I could just make it last forever. But I feel like it just needs to last a few hours.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably don't want it to last forever because eventually someone's going to be able to track that down to you.
I mean, honestly, if something like that can last long enough for when the cranes stack everything back up, it has the right weight.
Yeah,
After
that's
that,
true.
Who cares?
Wait, are you Indiana Jonesing this by taking like the bag of sand and the car?
A like 4-ton bag of sand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's not too impossible. We have magic. Could I just put a physical barrier on top of the like on top of where the car is, and then we take the car away and it maintains that same pressure?
Will the physical barrier move with the box?
No, the physical barrier is like stuck. It's not moving.
It would maintain the pressure until either the crane can't move the container or the barrier breaks and then the weight's gone.
This is hours after we're gone. We don't care at that point.
But the point would be them not noticing that the container's empty.
Yeah.
Okay. Probably couldn't. I'll need to come up with another solution for that.
Well, if they're
Also,
gonna
I
dump
offered
it in
psych
the,
to everyone in the armored limo on the way over.
if they're gonna dump it in the harbor, what does it matter?
Are they going to dump it in the harbor?
I thought that was one of the things that they were worried. Everybody was worried about.
Somebody mentioned that, but we haven't seen any evidence of it.
I mean, we've seen them loading the ships or the containers onto a whooshing ship. I don't know what they're doing with them. They
The
could be
Mer-
dumping.
Containers? Did we?
I saw that. I
Okay.
scouted this last time.
I forgot that detail.
Yeah, I mean it's an active port. There's a ship there right now.
But the Maersk containers are getting loaded onto blue ships.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I had said that.
That's what you told me, and I was like, huh, that's weird. And I rolled customs procedure, and I couldn't figure out why it was weird, just that it was.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's my note on it. Always the problem. That's why I write notes. All right, so sounds like you want to figure out something for weighting the container. You got to figure a way to get that container down.
Yeah.
Maybe steal some extra stuff just for the fun of it.
Do we want to just bribe a customs person to get into one of the things, or do we want to like make it seem like we're legitimately accessing our container?
We're specifically supposed to make it not look like it's legitimately accessing the container.
Oh, the container underneath that we're trying.
That one. Yeah, that.
Hey, Aaron.
I know to be legitimately accessing this container.
Yeah.
What's up, Chris?
I had a question.
Sure.
With my character's skill, but I know how to get something out in and out of the port. I know I'm not necessarily familiar with this area, but just black market transit in general.
Roll that
What I
knowledge.
know.
Or it's not a knowledge. You have a black market connection.
It's black market's knowledge skill. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can roll that.
There you go.
All right, and so when you know most of the time the typical way of smuggling something out there is typically having someone on the take. Whether that be a government official who's dealing with customs, or somebody who's actually operating the port. So those are your two most likely. The other is occasionally a cargo might fall off a ship because of heavy seas, and then recovering that.
Okay.
So those are like the three most common. So one, you can wait till they get out to sea and figure a way to get it off the ship, if it happens to be one of the ones that gets moved to the ship. That said, dumping what the Johnson has told you's in it into the sea is probably going to make it a pain to recover. It's kind of heavy.
I think we try to get it before they dump it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of a different way, like to bribe our way through it, or intimidate our way through it.
I mean, if we claimed, to have ownership of stuff inside the container, do I think they would just let us in if we bribed? Like, would that affect the bribe? Like, how difficult do I think it would be to just go in and say, hey, we need to get into this container?
I don't know. That's a good.
So, based on your knowledge skill, is that the question?
Sure.
Yeah.
I can roll it on my knowledge skill.
Because you have smuggling as well, right?
I have customs procedures.
Oh, perfect.
Man, one of us really needs to learn bribe pricing as a knowledge.
I
So
have bargaining.
That was bribe pricing is in the core book.
Typically, negotiation is how you end up with a bribe. But you can also have it as a knowledge skill as well.
That would be for actually negotiating it, yes. But for knowing how much it's likely to take to get somebody to do something ahead of time.
I would say
that's usually like a area knowledge.
yeah, and the
Each
smuggling
area
will.
is gonna be different.
Yeah.
Well, sure. Like if you know about smuggling, you know about bribes for smuggling. But you could just know about bribes in general.
So, Zach, Spin Jim, with two successes on basically how the question you asked, like, hey, how could I just walk in and say, like, show me what's in the container? You would know typically that's not going to work. Like, you could probably fake being an official for the owners of the, or sorry, the renters of this property. So if you can somehow make yourself look like whooshing, then whoever's operating port security, which might be whooshing, you might be able to get through that way, or mimicking somebody like a Russian official.
But I couldn't get in by like claiming to like have access to the stuff inside. Like I couldn't say this is stuff that I ordered. I want to get in there. Like I would want to claim to be whooshing.
Nope, that just doesn't work.
Great.
Until it has gone through customs, it is stuck.
I guess it is pretty much why we're getting hired, since they weren't responding to the owner's request for it.
Point.
Mm.
You probably want to find something like that.
So that said, I'm gonna slide also that like you could probably bribe them, but really you're looking at needing the bribe. Like for something like this, they'd probably lose their job if it was discovered. So typically they'll be looking for a pretty significant payout. Sometimes it's easier to use the rubber hose method, which is find leverage on them.
EOS is always and will always be for the crowbar method.
So yeah, those are definitely options. But yeah, bribe wise, you're probably looking at probably more than you want to spend. Unless it was something as an ongoing rate. Like, hey, we're going to use this as our exfil, or this is where we're going to set up shop and we're going to smuggle things through. Like, then that might be worthwhile to have an ongoing relationship with the port.
Yeah, this is just a one-time fling. We don't need this
That
ongoing
would be
relationship thing.
actually why I could bring our premium cargo containers here. But it sounds like we have places to live. We don't really need our cargo containers. Okay, so things we could do. We could have someone pose as an official, show up in a. This is a motorcycle, right? That we're trying to get.
Mm-mm.
So show
I
up
thought it was a
in.
vehicle, like a bigger vehicle.
Effectively, it's an armor personnel carrier.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Carrier's
don't.
died.
What was the precise?
Vehicle.
What was the exact model? What was it?
Crappy car.
I just feel like that's gonna cut in the cost into the cost too much. Like it's easy to sabotage or break something that's already there. This other plan is requiring us to like go like buy a car or something. I mean, maybe if we could just like find a hunk of metal and make it into the approximate shape of a car and put on wheels or something where it doesn't cost us that much, but otherwise, you know, we're trying to get some extra spending cash here.
So
So I feel like
we could, I mean,
every bit counts.
Welcome back, Aaron.
So
Thanks.
why are we concerned about replacing the car? I guess I wasn't.
I don't
really
know.
A part of the
paying
job is
attention.
to make sure it doesn't look like the person who owns it had it recovered for them.
Which
so that
So there are two aspects. Is one, we don't want them noticing that something was removed from this container before they dump it.
I mean,
And
that doesn't matter if it doesn't look like it was taken for the owner.
two, it's going to be easier to get the car out if, you know, it's just the car that we drove in.
Well, what's to keep us from going in and not only taking the car we were trying to get, but other things too? So it looks like I'm acerate on that. Maybe even that company's going in to get their things out of their containers, or sent somebody in to do that. That
Yeah,
you
I
know
mean
that
that
lost insurance or not insurance, but lost the harbor.
that would be an option, but how are we going to move that much stuff with us?
Can we not go get a truck from that company
I mean, we're stealing a Roadmaster. Couldn't we load up the Roadmaster?
or
The-
borrow or borrow a truck?
All right. It sounds like we should find something
There-
worth stealing one of the other containers.
There's a stack of like 20 shipping containers. I'm assuming most of them have a lot of stuff in them. Like, we're not going to fill up a car and have that look like Wu Jing broke in to do this.
having if we make it so that the shipping container has the approximate weight that it's supposed to be, when they go to open it up and be like, and finally deal with it, whether that's to deliver the car to its proper owner or whatever, it'll look like whoever shipped it in the first place was like pulling some sort of scam.
Right.
If we can make it so that we swap it out, it'll definitely perform the job that we want to do. If in the process of us doing that, shit hits the fan and it's obvious there, well, then maybe we can turn it into some, mass hit or something. Or, or we could possibly, if we get a hunk of metal into the shipping container, maybe we could fire blast the shipping container and make it look like the car's been destroyed rather than stolen. Like, that would also potentially do our job. So I do think that replacing the car with something so that there's like essentially plausible deniability of, well, the car never left the container, so the fact that it's not there now is really weird.
Well, they don't have a
I think
record
that's
that there's a car in it.
If we're breaking in there already, did we
Right.
figure out what the most valuable item there is?
We don't even know what else is in them.
'Cause I feel like at this point we should just
we didn't even.
Well, that
break in and plan to steal the most valuable object and also steal the car.
We couldn't even know that the car. Johnson told us.
Anybody else get?
Am I right?
We didn't hear.
We heard like 2 words, then it cut out.
Okay. Yeah. I'll check it out. So from what I remember, we didn't know that the shipping container had the car in it until the Johnson told us, right?
correct. The shipyard records don't have the contents of it.
Okay, so we don't know what the contents of.
Correct.
So planning to go in to steal the most valuable thing
Just to,
isn't really enough.
Wow,
feel like-
maybe if you did some fucking research, man.
I feel like I need to back up our plan because bribe.
Hold on a goddamn second.
Okay.
Okay, this was based on the research that we did. Rash went in and collected information. The information says that there's no record of what's in the shipping containers. That's what I goddamn said.
Yes, and I'm not asking what's in that shipping container. I'm asking what's in the shipping yard. What can we see? Like, why are you always going against my plans? Without thinking them.
I'm not going against your plans, but we're not trying to make a hit on the entire yard. That's just way beyond the scope of what we want to do.
How is stealing one
We have
other item beyond the... Dude, like, you... What up?
What do you mean one other item? Like, we don't, like, this is not a...
Like, do you think I'm trying to say, let's steal everything else there or something? No, we take what we can here.
Okay, so how are we going to go about just stealing, like, a nice little cotton picking of the most valuable things in the yard?
So
what's your plan there? Like, how are we gonna just happen to also steal this car when we're going around and stealing, stuff from all over the yard? Because the goal is to try and steal this car that's in one corner of the shipping yard. Not do a run down the entire place and try and do a shopping spree.
Rash, can you do me a favor? Can you look to see if there is there a automated system running these cranes, or is it actual people running these cranes? I get the feeling it's probably automation.
I'll look into it.
Okay.
Because that may be a way for us to avoid any particular issues, is we could just possibly have the crane move things around and play a little bit of a shell game instead of having to go in and blow stuff up and figure out different things. We might not even have to enter the yard to get what we want.
This has other advantages because bribing someone to get at a container underneath might just straight up not work. Like, there's no guarantee that they're going to put the box we want on the ground. They could just put it on top of some other boxes. So accessing the crane directly and putting the box we want where we want it, that is something we want to be doing regardless.
All right, so Rash is going to try to get into the host.
Okay. You got 3 nets, so you get your mark.
Okay. Is it just the one host here, or is it layered?
This is a single host.
Okay. That's what I thought from last time, but I couldn't remember.
I was racking my brain trying to remember what rating I had set it at, so.
Look for presumably the crane is a device on the host, so I will look for that.
All right. You do a quick check. You find that the crane is not directly on the host. It appears that it's connected through some RCCs that are attached to the host.
Okay. The RCC that it's attached to then.
So there's a couple different things that you're seeing from that wise. With 4 hits, you're able to basically tell. There's the big cranes, the ones that load and unload the ships. Those don't really move. And then there's these smaller sort of single container drones that basically can. They're meant to move a single cargo container around.
Those are what are being used to move things around on shore?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it appears that there's a number of RCCs that are attached to the drone, or sorry, attached to the host, that are controlling either the cranes and also the cargo drones.
Okay. I think I've got enough extra hits here to find one of the RCCs that's controlling the drones on shore, or that it's connected to at least.
You can see the matrix object.
Of the RCC.
Yeah.
Okay. I will try to get a mark on it.
One moment, let me pull up my RCC list. I don't use them very often. Really?
Beware of Fumiko's security system.
RCCs are pretty weak.
Not if you modify them appropriately.
I mean,
it can be very interesting.
They have pretty decent firewall.
But yeah, their firewall isn't too bad if they're decent.
Run fun programs that make it a little bit more interesting, honestly.
Yeah, a little bit.
They seem like interesting, but it doesn't seem like they have a lot of matrix security.
I mean, they've got a firewall.
Yeah, you go to grab a mark on the RCC and it seems slippery. Like it's almost like you keep trying to put your, and actually one of the questions I don't think I've asked of Rash, like what does your mark look like?
Good question. Let me see. Did I ever come up with something for that? Rashes mark. Not sure. Let me get back to you on that.
Okay. Yeah, so, but you attempt to put your mark on, and one of the things that you notice is it just, for some odd reason, it's not sticking to it.
All right. I will erase mark on myself then.
So you do a quick perception on yourself.
I mean, do I have to roll to spot the mark before I can erase it?
Yeah, because actually you didn't even know you didn't get a mark, right? Like, because if it was a tie, there's no
Sure.
mark. But in this case,
So yeah, if I have to take an action to perceive the mark first, then I'll do that first.
yeah, it just takes one hit to spot it, and it takes one hit to erase. So, basically, two actions. You quickly like look down, realize.
Well, the erase is resisted.
It's resisted by
willpower and firewall.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can. Willpower plus firewall. Okay.
I'm not to throw this out, but
Yeah,
I
no
should
worries.
have.
I'm generally not worried because most other deckers are not going to necessarily stand up.
I don't think you actually have to perceive to erase the mark based on how it's written.
You have to know what mark you're erasing.
Well, you have to have a mark on the persona that you're erasing it from. So you always have, well, as owner, you're considered to have 4 on yourself. But anyway,
I've always read it as you have to actually spot the mark to erase the mark, but I'll see if I can find up that stuff offline and go send it to you.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if we're not in initiative anyway.
No, but you do realize somebody's probably aware that you're now doing stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll try to hack the RCC again.
Okay, this time you were successful, and you've got a mark on the RCC.
Great. That means I can see the devices that it's connected to. Do matrix perception on it.
All right.
So like looking for what programs it's running, what drones are attached to it, that stuff.
Okay. You can see that it has the things that are attached to it are there are 3 cargo control drones, and there are 2 aerial drones.
Okay. Is it running any autosofts?
Yes, there are maneuverability autosofts that are loaded on for both the aerial drone as well as the ground drone. Sorry.
Is there any autosoft for the ground drones, like handling or whatever the appropriate autosoft for moving boxes would be?
Yeah, there's a work equivalent autosoft on there.
Okay.
It does appear like you also notice that there's a persona on this RCC.
I mean, it makes sense it's being used as soon as it works.
Is it possible to tell if a persona is an agent versus an actual user?
They share the persona, I believe.
They form separate personas if you've got a person and an agent running side by side. Can you checking the matrix perception list to see if you can spot the difference? Oh, I can see if there's an agent program running. It still takes up a program slot.
That's true.
I'm seeing if there's images of those cargo tractors.
Which cargo tractors are you looking for? I put some into Discord.
Yeah, it's different than the ones you put in. Those are ones for, well, probably a richer port than this one. This one is a rental port.
See, those are fairly standard for, like, if you were to go down to Tacoma or something like that.
They have not as many of those in the port of Tacoma. I drive by there all the time. They have a couple of those, but mostly they use these. Basically, it's 4 wheels and there's a modified forklift on the front, but basically it's an upside down bracket and it drops on, they pin it, and then it lifts up.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. What you're looking for is called a drash. Or not a drash. It's a crap. We use those.
Yeah, I was trying to find the name and I couldn't.
Yeah, it's gonna come to me later, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, we use them all the time. They're a pain in the ass. Well, actually, they're very useful, but no one will let you drive them. So then, trying to find a guy.
Yeah. Yeah. In this
Looks
case,
like,
they're rigged.
Looks like the port of Vladivostok actually uses what I showed you, by the way.
Depends on which one. There was a couple different cargo areas. Let me go grab it.
Sounded like this is a pretty small.
Yeah, it's on the far south end of the main peninsula, as opposed to the one. There's a main one that's off to the west side of the peninsula.
When you're calling it this port, you mean like it's a 1 or 2 piers of Vladivostok's port?
Correct.
No. Yeah. So yeah, I will turn on the fly on the wall program and then take a hide action to activate it. And also hide. If it matters.
Right.
Which is only resisted if they had spotted me.
Alright, that should show up in the stream in just a second. What did you get on your hide action?
5 hits.
5 hits? You are able to hide. I'm not even going to roll because how bad they are.
Again, if they hadn't spotted me in the first place, it doesn't even, like, there's no roll.
They have spotted you with the mark, so they had enough time with the mark to complete it. But then you disappear on them.
Don't they still have to roll to see? I don't know.
Where you have a mark?
You automatically spot anything you have a mark on.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, mark is like freebie, like targeting.
Anyway, so I hide. It activates fly on the wall. So I'm just sitting there in the host for now. While I go back to talk to the team. The drones that move the containers around are run off autosofts. So we could.
Were you able to tell if it had an agent on there?
Oh yeah, was there an agent running?
No.
Yeah. So somebody might, notice the thing doing something they didn't tell it to if they're paying attention to that, and if they're just watching on the Matrix, though, I should be able to block them from noticing. I should think. I could definitely give the drone a command.
Yeah, and you said you rebooted when you logged off, right?
I didn't log off. I'm
Oh, okay.
flying on the
Okay.
He's a fly on the wall.
so Overwatch accrues very slowly. I will also turn on a baby monitor to keep that tracked.
Question: are these drones able to open the boxes themselves, or do we need someone on the ground to do it for us?
Oh,
That's something I would. I don't think that's something I would know from the auto saw. Is it?
for opening the cargo container?
Yeah.
I would say roll. I'm okay with a rolled smuggler roll on that.
With a what roll?
Just your smuggler knowledge, or even
Mm.
the black market one from Night.
The customs procedures?
Yeah, yeah.
Could I roll human trafficking since they probably use containers like this for some of it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, human trafficking,
I was doing
problem
human
solves itself.
trafficking.
You have the people open the container.
You can't open a container from the inside.
Open it. If the drones are required to
You
open
do
it,
when you put the special lock on there.
No, because the way a container works, unless you're like blowing the entire door off, or more to the point, the entire wall, the containers lock in a mechanism that would not be able to be unlocked from the inside.
Until you install a button that unlocks it and opens the door.
I mean, yeah, if you want to add like some sort of mechanism on the outside, sure.
Yeah, we're in the future, man. This is cyberpunk. Of course you
I
can.
mean, that also entirely depends on whether the people that are inside are the people who want to be getting moved.
Yeah,
I mean,
either
at
way,
that point,
this is a
at that
hypothetical
point,
In a lot of human trafficking,
situation.
I would have went with the NASA explosive bolts and just blown that door off, so that way if someone's standing there, you'd walk out like a boss.
I mean, again, that's dependent on the person inside being the one who wants traffic.
You guys can do that to your
Self-
shipping containers if you wish. So the knowledge skills, right? So spin, you would know that typically at least something that's been sort of held for customs, there's the equivalent of a zip tie that holds it together. It's not what you would call high security, but typically these aren't opened by drone. They're manually inspected, or they're just passed through because nobody cares. But yeah, there's no reason for the drone to necessarily open it, as much as the receiving side or the packing side. Or inspections. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
I think it was mentioned before, but yeah, you usually when you ship a shipping container, you put your locking mechanism on there, you put a tracking device on there, and then you put a customs one-time lock with a specific serial number on there that is registered and then put into the paperwork on the actual shipping container. So if that's broken, then it like sets off all sorts of funds investigations.
Yep.
Did we know what that is? That like a physical seal on it for these containers that would be like broken and not able to be resealed?
It is a physical seal.
And one that would be easily openable by hand.
Is it
At
just
least
like a sticker that says "void if opened"?
Yeah, it's the equivalent of a sticker of void if open. So it's something that
Like we could walk by 10 of them and open all of those seals.
yes.
So current day ones are kind of a thin ribbon of material. So if you have a pair of pliers or diagonal cutters, you can cut through those. And then there's the kind of pin style, which is basically a 1/4 inch thick piece of metal that you just need a pair of bolt cutters for.
Okay. So
That's the current style.
I mean, the seal isn't there for security; it's there for acknowledgement that it hasn't been opened.
right, well, yes, but in a futuristic setting, it could be all sorts of things.
In a futuristic setting, it could be something that is it could be like a security RFID tag that when the piece of paper gets
it burns out or
pinging.
something when something. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
So
just
yes, I mean, we can easily just take a pair of bolt cutters too. Then we could leave a bunch of them broken, so it wouldn't be identifiable to just one.
So are we currently looking then at having the drone lay a bunch down on the ground, open all of them, take the car? If we see anything else worth taking, we take that too, and then get out.
Well, I think from your knowledge check, you determined that the drone wouldn't really have the ability to open it itself. So we would
by hand, which means we
there.
can open them.
The drone puts it on the puts several of them on the ground, right? Not just the one that we want, but it lays a bunch out. We
take a couple people in. We open up like 6 containers.
Yeah.
Sure.
How far from the top is this container?
The third from the top?
One off, I think he said.
Third?
Oh, he said fourth, but I could be wrong.
it is the fourth one up, and there's one on top. So of a stack of 5.
Okay, so it's not crazy to have that if we're having it we can make it look like that we're just taking random boxes from the top of this pile, opening those and taking what we find.
Yeah.
That seems like a reasonable approach. The question is then, how are we getting in and out to do this?
Yeah,
I mean,
so
sneaking into a port, the group can handle sneaking in somewhere, but getting all of this done and then out without something coming up to stop us.
Would we want to socially sneak out, or would we want to like physically sneak out?
If we're just taking a car and loading it full of stuff and driving out, social seems like a difficult proposition. If you've got an idea,
Could we bring in a truck that we're loading stuff onto, and then just getting out of there?
So temporarily steal a truck?
Yeah,
already on the dock, yeah.
On the way out, it could just be oh yeah, there were 2 trucks on our way in. Didn't you notice?
Or we load the car, or we load the car that we're taking on the truck.
This was the reason for go in the car that looks like a Roadmaster.
Well, yeah, but there's an expense associated with that.
Yeah.
Or
also
swapping them out.
It is the most. Yeah, that one's a pretty expensive one approach. The other is this is an easily identifiable Roadmaster.
Right.
Bright
no, but I thought
pink
this is the point
with
illusion.
modifications.
I'm gonna guess Chaos.
No, it's black with the pink trim. I remember this one. Chaos wanted it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But she already has one, so she doesn't care too much.
Chaos, would I be right in thinking you could make it look less identifiable on the drive out?
Depending on how the GM really rules illusions, whether or not if I put a Trid Phantasm on a vehicle, if it stays on the vehicle or not.
I think you'd have to concentrate and move it with it.
Yeah, it's an area spell.
Like, would I be able to, like, if I'm concentrating and using all of my action, like a complex action to constantly move it with us, would I be able to keep the illusion, like, maintained around the vehicle as we go?
I'm guessing this, assuming we don't drive faster than the max speed you can move a spell.
I mean line of sight.
Is that how far you can move it each pass?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was an actual speed based on force or something.
No, that's for like spells like levitate, which are the limit. Their speed is dictated by the force. But no, for just moving a sustained area spell, it's just a complex action, I believe, to shift it to anywhere else within line of sight.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I would do the spellcasting, and then I'd probably just take one concentration roll to to deal with your ability to deal with it long term. But yeah.
All right. I passed psych out to all the people in the armored limo too, if they wanted.
I'll take it, but I'm not going to use it. But I'll take it.
Free drugs?
Free drugs. That's all I heard.
Oh, come on. You gotta take it. What are you doing?
Peer pressure.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Wallflowers.
So what is psych? Psych gives you the ability to sustain easier.
Yeah. So
And some other stuff.
And
yeah,
it
it takes 10
and a
minutes
bonus to
sustain life
logic
for
and
12
intuition, I
minus
think.
body hours. Gives you
Cool.
+1 logic, +1 intuition, and reduces sustaining penalties to -1 instead of -2. It's a perfectly
That's it.
legal drug. You can buy it literally anywhere.
Yeah, it's still addictive, but not overly so.
Yeah, just wait like 3 weeks before you take it again.
Okay.
And probably wait until you want. How long does it last again? Is it 10 minutes or hours?
Wait until we're actually doing the run.
No, it lasts 12 minus bod hours. So take it now. It'll last until
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah, that you'll be fine.
Oh, I thought the drift track was in the port, Aaron, not like its own little like drift track.
No, it's nearby. It's not in. In would be cool, but nearby is actually pretty badass too. It's a nice looking course.
Yeah, they got some nice like cars on there too.
Didn't see the cars. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong.
If you go into the Google Maps, it's got like an R34 and a whole bunch of other fun ones.
Sorry, there's a link to the map that I'm using, and it's also evidently there's a drift track nearby.
Someone's drifting a Dodge.
What?
And not like an old Dodge, a new Dodge.
Dodges don't drift.
Yeah, it's like trying to drift a boat. Sure, the Navy can, but you can't.
The fact that it looks wide open to the public is also... Sorry, I'm getting easily distracted.
So, did we figure out it's running? So it's like a guy running the things through an RCC, and that's how the cranes are moving. Then,
Yeah, they're probably being commanded occasionally to go and do stuff.
They're running on auto soft, so they don't need jumped into.
oh, okay. So the guy's just basically activating the auto sauce.
Maybe they do jump in, but they don't need to. They've got auto softs to run them.
Can you circumvent his control if someone distracted him long enough for the operation to be completed before he gets back to what he was doing?
I can give them orders. If he jumps in, he's going to supersede them.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, if you can give them orders, someone can distract him or throw him in a trunk. I don't care. And while the mechanism while the mechanism executes your command.
That would be an option.
Okay.
One of the things that we could use potentially to test out this theory is he could start throwing commands at it and see how you could see what the response is.
So,
well, right,
like see if anything's
I think somebody was poking at their system and left. If they start seeing commands going off, they'll know someone actually has control in the system.
That's fine. We don't need to necessarily do it at this moment.
Do we know where the person who has control physically is? Because if we want to do anything to them,
the RCC, but that's doesn't necessarily mean that's where they are.
What was the underworld on?
So I was trying to see if I remembered anything about specifically insurance procedures for thefts, because my thought process was we could just roll in, steal the car, put it invisible if Chaos is capable of it. Roll it out, and then have Rash basically have the crane pick it up, and then yeet that bad boy into the river slash ocean. But that really depends on what is the insurance procedure for that. Like, will they actually send a diver in to verify that the truck's in there, or do they just go, yeah, screw it, pay it out?
Yeah.
My thought was he could probably, if I were to distract or someone were to throw the guy in a trunk for a few minutes, could probably get that thing spinning fast enough that once he releases it, you could launch it about halfway across the port so it sinks in the middle.
I mean, could we just
Assuming
like
you're talking
leave a
about
nasty note?
the container, not the car.
Yeah, same. But yes, the container.
Well, what does that do us any good versus just leaving evidence that it was an opportunity theft? Which seems a lot easier.
Because the opportunity theft, she specifically said where they were going to basically blame on her being us stealing it. Whereas if the machine malfunctions and yeets her, shipping container into the middle of the bay, obviously that wasn't her. That was either them being pissy at her or.
So yeeting the container into the bay would be the way of making it look like it wasn't a theft, is what you're saying.
Yes, and
like it
very
wasn't a theft at all. The container is.
Yeah, and very obviously their fault, because that was the whole point. Was we have to steal it in a manner that she can't be blamed for retrieving her own property. So any kind of theft that we do, we have to be careful for it not coming back to her. Going, yes, this is her team.
The idea of opening up a half dozen containers and taking whatever we can carry.
I think that
We could
having something where the container looks like it was like just or like I suggested before, where it was always empty, like it just had a bunch of sand in it to make it look like it was heavy.
Well, I'm also attempting to avoid us having to drag, 15 tons worth of
bunch of stuff.
sand into there, because I'm relatively certain that my limo can't carry that, and I bet Chaos can't carry that, and I'm sure nobody here is quite capable of carrying that. And people will notice when we bring a semi truck in there full of sand.
I don't think anything anymore.
One of the extraction options is to go in with a semi truck and use that to take the car out.
Yeah. When did we get to that option, by the way? Because we don't have a semi truck.
I think the idea would be to steal one at the dock.
That would also be an option. Could we do any of the semi trucks run on remote, and we could just steal one? We could take control of one temporarily.
I would guess that most semis run remote at this point.
I know it's putting a lot of pressure on Rash, but or maybe we could go in and physically commandeer one.
What is the advantage of using a semi versus just driving the car out?
A semi would look like it's supposed to be driving out, whereas the Roadmaster
would for some reason not. Like, I'm sure people drive in and out of the port all the time.
Not personal vehicles.
How do you think the employees get to and from?
That they don't drive through where all the containers are. I mean, I could be wrong on how it's organized, but I that there's a part where you could drive up to, but not into the actual I'm assuming like the area where.
At that point, we're talking about the same issue that we're going to have for opening up a bunch of containers and taking stuff out of them. Like, that's not normal.
We're not.
Yeah, but like getting out of the like I'm assuming that like they're only going to allow certain vehicles out of the front gate, that where the containers are coming from. Like we're going to be under scrutiny when we're leaving, no matter what.
Even if that is true, and a semi would get us out, a semi trailer is going to carry what, one, maybe two containers. That's going to be a pretty obviously targeted hit if that's what we take out.
I think the idea would still be to put the car in the trailer and like not load the container directly.
But at which point we have the same visibility issue of something weird going on when they see over on the
and
somebody
and if and it,
all right,
a weird thing when we get out.
and if we make it look like the container that the car was in was never messed with or whatever, then it's not tied. The actual us leaving is not tied to her. I thought that was kind of the idea.
Do you not think they keep an eye on the docks themselves? Like they're going to be seeing anything we do over there. So opening it up, taking a vehicle out, and then sealing it back up, we could maybe disguise some of that, but
yeah, I thought the whole idea was that we're going to do it in a way that is not obvious. Like that was what we were talking about. At one point, somebody mentioned doing it like having the vehicle be invisible, so it doesn't look like anything gets out.
Did somebody mention that? I missed that.
I thought that we ended up deciding that it was going to be too difficult to make it look like the thing was never opened, and that we were more seriously looking at the open a bunch of containers option, leave some gang tags behind, maybe do the whole thing under an invisibility bubble, so that we have a little bit of extra time, and then just like get out somehow. And yeah, the getting out somehow is not obvious.
I thought we needed to figure out how we were going to both get in, do it, and get out.
And we definitely need to figure out the how we're getting out part, because I think that's going to be one of the.
I'm honestly more concerned with the how do we get in and do it part, because getting out can be, shooting people and just driving by. Not ideal, but it's an option.
Yeah, we're going to be in a Roadmaster to just drive out.
Well,
but if we're driving out and if we're driving out in the Roadmaster, doesn't that also defeat the purpose of this? Wasn't a clearly the car was being stolen. Like that's the problem.
It doesn't matter if the car is stolen as long as it doesn't look like the owner stole it. She needs to collect on the insurance.
Yeah. So, if a bunch of gangers went and stole some stuff in boxes, including a car, that's fine.
Decided to take it with and load it up because it was a better way to go.
Yeah, we just tag everything with a local gang sign.
Yeah, and if we are doing that approach of trying to make it look like a theft instead of a replacement thing like we were talking about earlier, then we should really break into 2 or 3 containers so that we're
we're talking about breaking into 6 containers.
Oh, sorry guys. Yeah, 6 to 10 is good.
The problem is getting all of that done before security interrupts.
Yeah.
That's the part that I'm not seeing how that's going to happen yet.
Can we blow up something on the other side of the shipyard?
That's always a possibility.
Just give them some distraction.
So the big question is, do we want this? Do we want to try and make this loud or quiet? Because if we're doing something where we could potentially do something where we go in with a semi truck or get in there and commandeer a semi truck and try and obfuscate the car and make it seem like the car isn't messed with, but then when they go back later, it turns out it's gone. Or we could go in and Or we could go in and just make it so it's a a big old smash and grab with the car as the getaway. Does anyone have any thoughts on one way or the other?
I would rather do the quiet thing, but it does sound like it's going to be difficult. Mm-hmm. And it probably involves the expense of bringing our own vehicle that we might be leaving behind.
If we're actually trying to swap out vehicles, yeah, I don't think that's the only option for going more quiet. But I do think quiet is going to require either magic or talking people through social channels.
I also think that if we can sneak onto the area and commandeer a semi truck that's already present, that could potentially be a way to get out with the car without it being too noticeable.
So there is the option, the hybrid option of go in, smash 6 boxes,
load a bunch of stuff.
I don't know if we can actually just invisible the car until we get it onto the semi and whatever else we steal, and then try to like take the semi out quietly.
Okay.
Or is actually
is turning a Roadmaster invisible an option on the table?
That's, I don't know.
So yes and no. So for me, I can. It's not quite turning it invisible. I can create an illusion encircling all of us to make it look like nothing is there, and that would be much more effective than trying to cast invisibility on the Roadmaster.
Would we could also potentially
I can technically make it disappear,
but it's going to be an oddity of okay.
I mean, they would still have to resist a stronger spell to actually see anything.
Sure, they just might notice it's weird over there. But
yeah, like in the astral, it's going to be
what about if
it'll be a giant beacon in the astral.
That's not ideal. But I don't know what kind of security they have.
What if we, since we're talking about moving a bunch of containers around anyway, what if we put the container in a camera blind spot?
Is that possible? It looked from the pictures like these drones are on tracks.
How many containers high is it, and how tall is the container?
I thought the drones were wheeled.
So the cargo drones are wheeled. They're basically a truck. It's basically a really long forklift.
That being said,
really long and really tall.
There are already camera blind spots on the territory.
And most of the cargo container stacks are 5 or 6 high. Each of the cargo containers, I want to say, is 3 meters or 3.25 meters tall. And just to help you all,
there's probably a number of blind spots.
Yeah, I can make a big enough illusion to cover us.
So the other thing that may be helpful is to break the problem down. One, getting in to the port through customs, right? Like it's a secure port. 2, finding the container which you have. So that one's already taken care of. 3, stealing the thing you want to steal without making it look like it's stolen, which I think you're currently bunging 1, 2, and 3 1, 3, and 4 together, and 4 is getting out with it. And so I think if you break it down, it might be easier to go and solve it. Like, how do we get in? How do we get out? Those could be 2 separate ones. And then how do we steal things or make it look like it's not a targeted theft?
Are there any semi trucks on the ground in the port that are sitting unused or regularly going in and out?
Or rather, how close are they? Because there must be semi trucks.
So with the previous EU warfare, from Mike Hawk. When you looked around, at the time you were looking, you did spot a number of basically tractor rigs with empty trailers parked outside of the port, sort of leading into it. But none were going in and out at this time.
So, go ahead.
Were you saying something, Aaron?
Don't think so.
Okay.
Okay. So one option for possibly getting in and out is we could go up to one of the empty, common, and either social our way in, or well, probably easiest for getting in would be to social our way in, such that they aren't paying us close attention to, oh, it's one of their trucks, like no big deal, sure, go on in, and then that gets us there.
So that is saying we bring the truck in with us.
Yeah, because and so we go over to the dock. They have a bunch of trucks sitting there. We either, I know we can fashion up some uniforms to make us look like we're to be there, and somebody could go up and distract the guard that's there, or and that would that would let us, like, they, oh, hey, this person's distracted, and so they're just like waving people through and not paying close attention or whatever. And then that could also potentially be how we get out. If the maneuvering the boxes, we can get the crate into a position where we could hide it more, hide it in some way. We could possibly get the car out without anybody noticing that that's what we're getting, and bada bing, bada boom, we're done, and nobody notices it's gone until later.
So, in this plan, just trying to clarify, are you saying we take the container that the car is in, or take the car out of the container and just take the vehicle?
I think we should take the vehicle out of the container, because otherwise, if just the container. Well, you said that this container completely it was completely, like, not on the listing, and it's not even listed as being at the docks, or the contents were just unlisted.
All the contents were on. Well, the thing is there was a host changeover in ownership, and all of the files that would contain the manifest for the prior to whooshing is not there. That was.
But eventually, they're probably going to dig into it, and there was evidence of it coming into port. There's just no listed contents.
No listed contents. They open it and there's nothing in there. Sounds about
Yeah,
right.
So if we obfuscate the removal of the item from the container, then there's no, like, when they go back to check on it, there's no information. Now, if we could do something where we open up a couple of other ones and take a bunch of stuff from out of other ones too, makes it even more obfuscated that that's what the target was.
Follow up,
and it just looks like
question here.
Yeah.
If this is the case, taking stuff out of the container or containers, then the plan is to drive a semi tractor out with a trailer full of loose things on it, rather than a shipping container.
You said it's a tractor trailer, didn't you?
I assume
so is that
generally
is that flatbed, or
they load one of the shipping containers on it?
Yeah, they're typically I-beams. Yeah. It's 2 I-beams with some wheels on the back, and they just drop the containers on and lock them in place.
That's true. Okay, so possibly a better one would be to go over there, have the drone put 2 containers on the back of the truck, one of which being the one we want, and drive off with those.
That seems to me like that would indicate that it was being targeted. If there's only 1 or 2 containers going missing and that's one of them.
That's fair.
Honestly, it would look less suspicious if we were to actually sit there for an extra minute popping seals and like looking inside. And like have that caught on camera.
But
Or we go.
If we catch that on camera, how would we get out?
Well, it doesn't necessarily need to be caught on camera, like actively. Like when they go back and check the feeds, they go, "Oh yeah, these guys were looking around for the best containers to grab, and they ended up grabbing those ones."
They probably have security monitoring camera feeds. The very least, programs doing that. I can't imagine these feeds are all just completely unattended. Nobody keeps an eye on the port.
Well, if we go in and we have proper uniforms, it wouldn't look all that it wouldn't look that suspicious for somebody to be going in and messing around with stuff.
Well, that actually other question about the plan then. If it's a truck coming in to pick up containers, if these trucks are automated and the dock system is automated, why would there be a driver?
Well, I mean, they may not always be automated. I don't know. They have empty cabs. I mean, they have drivers occasionally. Or we hide the fact that there's a person in there, and that's we make it look like it is all just being automated and just everything going normal. If we want to make it look like if we want to make it look like we need, I think that it's going to be more noticeable if we're driving out of. I think it's going to be more like immediately noticeable if we're driving off the lot with the truck out in the open.
I mean, I don't know how you but Chaos has also offered to hide it on the way out.
Well, I mean, but that's just it though. Like, if we're driving off the lot with anything, it's going to be. Right, like we'd have like we're gonna have heat coming down if any vehicle is driving off the lot.
If they see it.
I mean,
Chaos has offered to make it not seen leaving.
I thought we established that she can't make it invisible. Just
Right, it wouldn't be invisible per se, but even if somebody noticed something's weird looking over there because of the illusion, assuming they don't break through her spell, it's just going to be weird looking and they won't know what the issue is.
Has anyone scouted out the astral security yet?
Nope, haven't done that yet.
I mean, can you do that and find out, is it feasible to just put an astrally obvious thing to help us get out?
It's always feasible. You just gotta, sometimes work a little harder. I mean, once we get a little closer, I can astrally project, but I don't want to astrally project while the car is going.
Currently what I've sort of had for the vehicles is they decided to lay low based on all of the heat. And while you guys were sort of getting pictures of the port from remote because you didn't need to be on site. And so you aren't necessarily moving. Fumiko got out of the car at some point and just started walking.
I definitely missed that part.
It's been in the chat.
Oh, I think it's fine.
Sorry, what was that, Dave?
Oh, I was just saying it was on Roll20.
Yeah. And so
I had to close my Chrome because it was being a computer hog.
Yeah, I think the semi option would be good if we needed to get people in and out, but because it's things that we need to move,
I mean,
that entire plan is reliant on us faking out all of the records and security systems, which means entirely on me, and if it gets screwed up, everything goes sideways.
then I need plan B. So you've got plan A.
Well, and then plan B would probably be things have to go loud. So if we want a better shot at a quiet run, that if something slips up, we might actually be able to catch it before everything goes wrong. I think the magic hiding route, assuming the astral recon goes well for it. Plus, if we're sneaking in and out, getting in should be no problem. I mean, what, like a place? I guess we didn't really ask the specifics on the border.
Yeah, there's the northwest and the south, or the northwest and the northeast gate elements. Those are basically it's a dual layered sort of double rolling chain link fence sort of thing. So it's sort of barn door opens, slide left and right. There's basically a semi-truck sized spot with a guard shack in the middle, and then there's another one of those barn door style with for the chain link fence, and that's on both sides.
And at the places that there aren't entrances, what's the boundary?
The boundary is a 1 meter tall concrete barrier, and above that is a 2 meters of additional chain link fencing, and it's topped by something.
Concrete, though. Okay.
So either razor wire or monowire.
How close is the road outside to the fence line? Went along the.
So there's the fence line. There's a sort of this pull off area which appears to have a bunch of the concrete or a number of those trucks lined up to go in. And then almost immediately there's the roadway itself, which is 3 lanes of traffic in one direction. There's sort of a medium greenway in the middle with light posts and what looks to be cameras, another 3 lanes, and then there's buildings.
So the nearest lane would be like 5 meters from the fence, 4 meters, something like that?
Yeah, probably 4 or 5 meters.
Okay. Would I have an idea? I don't think they really talk about it in numbers. No, it doesn't look like. An electrified fence should give off noise.
It's a very gentle. Do you mean like noise as in electronic noise or like actual sound? Because
no, electronic noise.
Okay.
Interruption to signals. Would that roadway be close enough to pick up a point of noise if that is an electric fence?
Yes.
Why don't we, since we're just kind of cruising around in the van anyway, swing past and should be able to figure out pretty easily if that's an electric fence then.
Yeah.
All right, so the vehicles start up again after being in hiding for probably about an hour and a half while you guys were digging in.
Chaos is going to be out of body. So.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna go
just the van. Okay.
Sneak over and A-sense. Oh my god, it's my best A-sensing roll ever.
I know, right? 5 hits.
So 4, but close enough.
Yeah, you get a read of the area. One of the things that you notice in your travel too is there is this weird area that has a huge, like the background is stronger than you anticipate, but it's nothing like what you guys dealt with on the way here.
Yeah, it's like false. I anticipate the Wall of China every mission now.
This was okay. Fair enough. This is a background count 5.
Oof.
And it is aligned definitely towards death.
Ooh.
Oh.
But then you get closer to the port itself. What you do identify, like there is a slight background count just from it being the city and the port. It's 2 points or 2 background count aligned. It feels kind of slimy and sludgy. And you do notice a pretty sickly looking set of Watcher spirits, 2 of them, sort of hovering above the port.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about. Oh, did my sound cut out?
No, we heard you.
Nope.
Excuse me.
Did your sound cut off? Because your voice is coming through.
Is that me?
Oh no, we're in this weird sound area. So yeah,
All right, no, I was mostly wondering about the Watcher spirits and any active patrols they might have. I just wanted to note them and then basically go back. I'm not going to go any further into digging.
does not appear to be patrolling. They appear to be just sort of hovering over the gates.
And they're hovering, like each one is hovering over a different gate?
Correct. So there's 2 gates. One is hovering over the west gate. One is covering over the east gate.
Okay. Can I roll magical security to see if I know anything else, or if there's any other nasty surprises Wu Jing might have for us?
Sure. Magical security with 1 hit. You can't really think of anything in particular that would be whooshing. The only thing that seems to sort of be weird is like, hey, the background count feels pretty nasty for a company that prides itself on feng shui. Like, you figured that, hey, they've owned this, or they've rented this thing for a few weeks. They should have already come and kind of started the cleanup of the mess.
Like, was it just a gross background count, or was it like a toxic background count?
Toxic.
Okay, because I, like, through LA, Chaos has seen toxic background counts plenty of times.
Yeah, so this is more in line with pollution as opposed to radiation.
Oh, yeah, definitely feels like home.
But it was death aligned?
Well, that was
No,
over the east.
That was another one. That was a larger other area that's apparently death aligned.
Oh. Not the port. Okay.
Yeah, the port has a very distinct pollution sense. There is some other area that was to the east of the port that was definitely...
Was I able to get the force of the Watchers?
With 4 successes, yes. So the force is a force 4.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
But you can tell they're being affected by the background.
Oh, that's even easier then. Yeah, I tell everyone that magical security, it's just 2 Watchers. I'll just put them in bubbles like I did last time. I mean, it was effective, right?
It was really effective. I thought that was pretty funny.
I mean, I have to take the sustaining penalties.
Yeah, Funktune, that's... These guys are compiling a greatest hits album. I always think I love Black Trenchcoat, but we always end up Pink Mohawk.
We're being very loud, very quietly, okay?
So how much does Chaos tell the group about the like backgrounds and everything? Or does she just mention the spirits?
I would tell you like a little bit more detailed, like it's a toxic background, kind of like LA, if you guys remember, home. Otherwise, there's this weird little like death background over on the side. It sounds like if we go over there, we might just horribly die. It's a pretty powerful thing. Let's just ignore it. But yeah, no, she does mention it.
That the death background is off-site from the port, though.
Yeah, it's a totally different area.
What's there? I'll check a map.
Yeah, it's like I can give you a direction.
Yeah, let's let's correlate that to a map and see what's over there.
Just trying to avoid it, maybe.
Yeah, I would say Chaos give me navigation as you describe the location astrally to.
Aha, I'm a ship captain.
The death background's a little concerning regardless, but the fact that Wujing just bought this port and they're known as the magic megacorp.
Doesn't cleaning background take months?
That's less of a problem for them.
It does take months.
Sure, but that would be the port's pollution background they may be starting to clean up. But I can't imagine they didn't look into it ahead of time and find out that their next door is something causing that death issue.
I'm sure there was a magical accountant somewhere who made the decision. Like, we're not in the death area. We're right outside the death area. We'll be fine, guys.
Well, yeah, either that or they did it on purpose.
I mean, yeah, that could be true, too.
But what role is it to know what the location is?
So then, so now whoever's reading a map, just give me a navigation roll, and you can use the map bonus.
What's the map?
+2.
+2.
I think we're all reading maps.
As Dora the Explorer said, it's a map.
So apparently, Discord was causing just massive lag on my computer, and that was the entire reason why I was having trouble.
Oh.
Huh.
I closed Discord and now I'm on my phone to chat, and my computer is running like 6 times faster.
One of the
Incredible.
Roll20 opened.
I would reinstall Discord if I were you.
Another thing you can do, and I've done this for Slack because Slack is a hog, and I have to run that for work. You can run some of these stuff in browsers, and it's actually way more efficient, which seems counterintuitive.
Well, I think it was all the video. I think it was all the streaming. I think it was all the video, all the streams open and stuff. Like, that's the only thing I can think of, is that it was taking up a lot of processing for all the images and whatnot.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right.
Because I closed OBS too, and that helped a lot.
We got Attenborough with a nav. We got Spin Jim with a nav.
Crash tried
as well. Yeah, you guys start sort of listening to Chaos describe like how fast she moved and where this weird feeling was. And the maps themselves don't appear to, like, there's a sort of a major construction area over there where she describes it being used for combat biking.
For combat what? Oh, combat biking, okay.
Yeah, something doesn't line up.
Two dead bodies in the shipping container.
No, that's too
valuable a resource. You got to refrigerate those for transport.
So we were the van was on its way to driving over that area. I will detour slightly to kind of try and run along see where that aura is. I will do a little bit of a sensing, see if I can spot it.
Yeah, I mean, identifying what the place is just to make sure it's not going to be a problem for us, probably useful, although hopefully we can just ignore it.
So you guys roll by with the sensing. Yeah, you pick up that there's a background count and it's got a death aura. It doesn't seem to line up. It's sort of built up on. There's this hill with a big parking lot and looks like a giant stadium there. Like, doesn't seem like something you would necessarily have a death aura around.
Well, it's weird, but I think we can just avoid that.
But yeah, it seems to be a pocket. Like, you get far enough away, like, there's no sort of hint of it. It seems fairly localized.
Maybe it's a native Russian burial ground.
Is it a decent distance from the dock?
Let me go measure it. Measurement from distance.
We're definitely going to have this this death background labeled on our map.
Is this the cremation complex?
Yes. It's 2.8 kilometers from the dock.
I've been looking at that the last like 3 weeks.
Like cremation center shouldn't be associated with death.
Like the same zoom level that gets you major airports gets you this cremation complex.
Oh, well, maybe it's not. It's listed as a cemetery.
Oh, okay.
It's just a giant ass cemetery.
Well, people don't die in cemeteries.
They don't die in cemeteries, but
so
but
it's probably something else.
But a large enough cemetery would probably gain some sort of background.
Good.
Why? Nothing's alive. There's no mana. Well, parasites, but
there's a lot of emotional attachment that goes into it, though.
Yeah, Indian burial grounds, ripe for auras.
Like the strongest emotion is right when they die, which is normally like in a hospital or somewhere else, not the graveyard.
Retirement communities. So, you basically have stumbled on my pink herring, which is a red herring that I really just threw out as a minor detail, and you guys latched onto it.
I said we should ignore it.
I concur. So you guys head over. Rash, you had mentioned, hey, can I detect if there's noise on the coming off of that line? There is no noise coming off of that particular fence.
Excellent. I think we can get through the fence if we need to, then.
We lost somebody.
At the very least, on foot to get in. Climbing up a 1 meter, climbing over a 1 meter concrete fence and cutting through a chain link fence, not that hard. And makes it more like a gang broken. If we want to go that route.
Yeah. I still think that if we want to get stuff out of the port, I think having it loaded up on a truck would be the best.
I think if we're going to do that, we need to get stuff out of a bunch of containers to make it, look like there was a more widespread theft, and then load all of that into one container to put on the truck. That may just
I'd be okay with that.
To try keeping quiet.
I mean, if we're trying to load a bunch of stuff, well, if we're going through a bunch of containers and trying to do a smash and grab anyway, it's gonna require us to be doing a bunch of loading anyway. So we might as well. We could potentially do go that route initially, and then if we need to go loud to get out, it's not a big deal.
Always can, yeah.
And if we want the extra people that are going to be coming in to help, if we want them to if we want to have them sneak in through the fence or cut a hole in the fence, that's how all these guys got onto the docks, we could do that. But I think loading a bunch of people into the back of the semi truck would be easier.
So But that would require us to be bringing in a semi that has a container on the back already.
Oh right, I keep on forgetting that's not. It's not a
flatbed trailers essentially.
I keep on forgetting that's a flatbed trailer, not a like container truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
sneak in and give the order for a truck to come in to load up. Presumably that's how they normally operate.
Mm-hmm.
Just automated. They come in because there's an order in the system.
Benjamin, are you on voice?
Yes, I'm here.
So your character's history, like, you've dealt with smuggling in the ports. Like, tell me a little bit more about that connection to the ports from your smuggling days. Or is it legitimate work? Because you said that you knew customs.
No, it was smuggling. I have experience with how custom stuff is done in order to get around, because I've been getting around it.
Okay, give me a logic and intuition -2 test.
Check those numbers.
Longtime players will realize this is my common sense roll.
Or memory.
No common sense today.
Yeah, no idea.
Uh-oh.
I'll let Knight do it as well if he wants. If you're there, Chris.
One A.
Nope.
What?
Oh, you're already there?
Yeah.
Give me logic plus intuition -2.
-2.
Yep.
I just put the -2 at the very end. Do I put any spaces?
No, not minus.
No, just...
So what is your logic and what's your intuition?
7 total.
7 total. So you're rolling 5 dice.
Oh, okay.
Not -2 to the result. -2 dice.
That would suck.
Oh, yep. You guys are on your own. Good luck.
Both.
Yeah, out of 11 dice between the two of you, not a hit, not a single hit.
I disapprove. That's not fair.
What were we rolling that for? Sorry.
That was just maybe you had some weird idea that the GM decides to sink into your head for dealing with this port problem.
Do either of you want to spend edge on that?
I don't have any edge.
I could spend edge, like
Unless
if I was going to, I needed to decide immediately.
sorry, I was talking to myself. That's why I was
I am perfectly happy to edge my common sense roll.
You can if you wish.
All right, this seems like a worthy expenditure. All right. That's better.
Much better.
All right, spent a point of edge.
All right. So actually, you have 3 successes, so much better. You're kind of looking at the lay of the land and what is sort of set up, and you're like, well, we just need to steal stuff, and usually you're not going to send a single truck through customs. Typically, it comes as an order, and so if you can forge basically an order to come through and then send in like a half dozen trucks, you know, maybe nobody bats an eye at that because that's just what's coming through the port. So it just depends on queuing up 6 of them instead of just trying to queue up 1 and then trying to get the 4th container out of 5.
Yeah, to open up the container, we just load up a pile of random containers.
How many of the Maersk containers are left?
There's like 20 or so.
So if we got 10 trucks, we could have them just show up as an order to empty out the Maersk containers.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then we whatever
60.
That could potentially work.
That would just require getting 10 semis hacked.
So that just requires,
you can do it, buddy.
It just requires finding one rigger, right?
I mean,
easily take over their entire infrastructure.
Yeah, right.
Surely in the future, infrastructure is easy to take over within a few minutes.
Yeah, right. Okay, so matrix perception on the semi that are parked out front.
Yep.
Um,
I think, what's the device limit?
On a host?
No, on a, so it's, RCCs can handle device rating times 3. Okay.
It'd specifically be picking up drones when it needs to use them and then dropping them back to the host when they're not. That would, I would assume, be how they would handle more drones than they use at once.
Possibly.
I'm looking at the trucks. 4 hits. First of all, checking to make sure they're all on this host, and then trying to get a number of how many there are.
That line of trucks, there are 12 trucks. They are all attached to one RCC that's on the host.
All on one RCC. Okay. All right. Can somebody find me someplace we could have these dropped?
There's a cemetery around here.
It's an urban brawl place now, or combat biker.
I don't know, a warehouse that can get rented out for the night or something. They've got those that runners make use of in most cities, right?
You make contacts, call up your contacts.
Somebody can find a spot that these can all get delivered to that'll also have a drone to unload them off the trucks. I will work on getting a hold of the trucks.
What? So, would there be a navigation role to try and find like a warehouse district?
You can find the warehouse district. It takes 1 hit on navigation. That said, which ones could you rent for a single night? That's probably something you need contacts in the area for.
Okay.
We do have contacts in the area.
You do.
Yeah, we do. What do you guys think?
We could ask Noise.
Noise or Obez? Obez already knows about the run, so it wouldn't be that big of a deal to ask him about, like, hey, we need a warehouse for the evening.
That makes sense.
I'll go ahead and contact Obez.
Okay. You get a hold of him. You could have got a hold of Damian Knight.
Goddamn.
But yeah, you get a hold of Obez. He's like, hey, what's up? Hopefully the meet went well.
Yeah, everything's going great so far. Looking to get things done quickly, and I was wondering if you had a lead on a warehouse that we could make use of on a little bit of short notice.
Let me go roll his.
Just for the evening.
His connection is... Any notes, because I've given this guy out a while ago. There we are.
And we haven't gotten him as a contact yet, so you haven't told us what his connection is.
Correct. So he kind of scratches his chin a bit, and he's like, well, I've got something that's a little bit out of the way that's not currently in use. It is located to sort of the northeast of town. If that works for you guys.
The
big worry I have is that that you guys draw attention to it. Like, not to say I've heard things on the news recently outside of where I was having my drinks. Just
the idea would be we're just gonna have a big delivery going through and dropping off some containers. So as long as it has the drones to kind of move some containers around and get things unloaded, it should be maybe like an hour tops.
All right.
Rash will send a message to Woden, not to the actual call, saying we may need something done about the containers afterwards also, or it's going to be probably coming back on the warehouse owner.
And really if you could arrange like a yard sale, that would probably be really good too. You could catch in on quite a bit of money on that.
Just as a comment, we can also just drive the containers back to the port.
That's also true.
Well, so the much easier way to set this up is going to be to just put an order into the system saying they're getting shipped over there. Which means the drones will just take them over and leave them.
Mm-hmm.
An order saying drive them over there, unload them, wait, load them back up, and drive them back is going to be pretty obviously not correct.
Yeah, no, we can just throw those things wherever on the side of the road somewhere.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, they do.
I'm not planning to actually be driving these trucks. Just going to put in an order to have them drive the stuff over there.
We're not even going to break into the dock with this plan. If it works, we're not even going to break into the docks. We're just going to have everything done for us.
Drones will just do everything.
I mean, generally, I don't think the containers would just be left at the warehouse. The containers, would be returned to the owner. The people who ordered the stuff aren't don't own the container, don't want the container, aren't in the shipping business.
It depends on the warehouse. A lot of warehouses will just contain containers like that for a while until and then once they're emptied, then you would do something to like return them to wherever they're going.
Not to mention these containers will be going to Maersk, not Wuzhing.
Exactly. Like these are.
So why would Wuzhing's trucks take them to Maersk?
That's true.
Not to mention you're going to have the rigs as well, so. Because I guess the question is you've got these rigs specifically for cargo container hauling. You're going to take it out there. You're going to empty one of them. Or do you empty them all, or do you try to empty out a bunch?
All 20 of them in the warehouse. Empty out what we can, and I don't know what arrangements are going to get made here. That's what Woden was working on. So you're saying like
Yeah.
the people that might be able to, our fixer here might be able to sell a bunch of stuff off and make some extra profit.
That's what I was implying just now. Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned that the Obez, and he's like, well, I can use this to offset the cost of the warehouse rental and also the cost of hiring a crew. We make it a trade. You get to use it for a night. We empty the cargo containers. You take the cargo containers away. Seems fair?
Sounds like a deal.
Again, specifically to Woden, are you going to have? Do we need to find a way to haul them away then? That's what you're agreeing to.
So just to confirm, I think he's talking about they're unloaded from the trucks, and then the trucks drive off with the containers still.
Yeah.
Like they're being unloaded.
How I interpreted what he said. You may want to clarify.
I will clarify that.
I have crew ready for you. You tell me when, and we take stuff out of cargo container, put in warehouse, have fire sale. I do not want the containers.
What you know, that's exactly what I was envisioning. Big fire sale.
I do not want the containers. They have tracking devices on them. In fact, finding some way to obfuscate the tracking will help me. I do not want to draw attention to my location.
We can look into that.
Do that.
That song, and he'll kind of like put his hand over the mic, kind of motion. I don't know that he actually knows where the microphone is on the comm link. Does that sound good to everybody?
Are they going to still run if their location's blocked? These drones are probably going to shut down and go back home if they can't figure out where they're at.
I feel like that's fine as long as we can get the package that we need out before then.
So what are you suggesting? Because if he doesn't want them tracked to the warehouse in the first place, then they're not going to drop the package.
Well, we have the trucks swing by us, and we just one by one disable the tracking devices in the cargo containers. You know, that's about it. If they go back to the shipping dock, then we drive the Roadmaster out and have them all drive themselves back to the shipping dock.
I think Rash's concern is you've got both the rigger, the truck itself, and then the container. And the container, disabling that's probably easy, right? Like,
yeah, but truck is disabled. It's probably not going to go where we want it to go. And if it's not disabled, it'll be trackable to the warehouse.
Oh, I was saying disable the tracking RFIDs on the cargo containers, not the trucks.
Sure.
How do we remove
all the trucks?
I'm sorry, two people were talking at once. What's up?
Go ahead.
I was saying the same thing as you. How do we make sure that the truck A doesn't send a live thing of where it's going, and B doesn't have that logged?
It will. That's what I'm saying. Like, that is not something I don't see a way we can agree to not having it tracked.
I mean, you tell it to go to a random like other location, and then they're gonna drive out. We'll zap what we need, take what we want, and then they'll drive back.
One of those locations, though, is the warehouse. How many decoy locations are you thinking?
Oh, I was thinking never having them hit the warehouse if they're just going to drive back or whatever.
So we're going to have them stop at the side of a road and unload a bunch of cargo containers with no drone to do the unloading, and in plain sight of everyone. Like, that's why I wanted to get a warehouse, so that it looks like this is legitimate business, and the cops aren't showing up as soon as we start going through the containers.
So Warden will get back on the line with Obez and be like, well, so if you're worried about any tracking coming back to you, is there a place where it might be better to pick a place that you don't care if anything goes there? We can offload a bunch of goods to you, and I don't know. Is there another place that we could use? Doesn't have to be a warehouse specifically. But if you can put together a crew, we can get a lot of goods for you, potentially.
You hear the sigh. Yeah, it does. I've got a place. Let me send you the coordinates. I will have a crew ready to offload the vehicles. If you can keep them there, then it will work out just fine.
I feel like this is falling into the exact same thing that we just went over, though. Like, we're still meeting them at a specific place, and they can track that place back to them.
Which is why we needed to make sure it was a place that they didn't care if it got tracks to them.
Oh, why did it send the same thing again? Move.
So I changed my request to, you said you were worried about things being tracked to this warehouse. Let's not go there then.
Correct. He gives you a location. When you go look it up, it is in the middle of nowhere. It's a road in the middle of the forest. He's like, just meet me there. I will have crew with panel vans. We will unload what we can unload. And you need to figure out, like, again, this thing is off the ground, so we'll have to climb in and get stuff out.
So we are going with my plan then.
All right. No, we drone to unload the cargo containers. That was part of the original stipulation.
He's like, I cannot get the cargo container off the back of the truck. I can get people in, and we can carry out whatever's inside.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
There are like 3 different ways to do that. You can use if you have a specialized type of big rig where the back end actually will kind of lift up and then roll the container off. You can use a wrench to basically pick it up and then kind of rotate it off to the side, or you can use a forklift that's rated for that weight and actually is designed for that to move that off there.
So
we need some people who are going to are not going to like.
And if we're meeting them there, then if we're meeting them there, then Chaos could just levitate stuff off too. Like, it would be
Nope, too heavy.
Right. The car is too heavy for you?
Yep. We've been over this multiple times before, especially in Ares Roadmaster is too heavy.
Yeah. Not to mention these
Can you use a barrier as a ramp?
Because again, the containers need to be offloaded, or this isn't going to go through as a legitimate job in the system.
Oh, so okay. See, I was thinking that we were literally just sending the empty storage containers back.
No, this is going in the system as they're being delivered from the port to a location. I'm just hacking a delivery order into the system.
I mean, if they don't want the shipping containers, we could probably figure out a way to push them off and then just empty them. Who would care about?
I feel like it's going to get the auto softs on the trucks all screwed up and not working with us, right? But maybe. Aaron, what all roles do you want me to queue up?
really want to queue up at least the sending the command. We'll deal with what the command is later. The actual mechanics don't really change. And so that's going to be getting into the host, getting into the rig.
Then, well, I'm still in the host.
That's true. So you'll be
putting
an order in.
Yeah.
And then putting in the commands to that RCC and its set of.
That's probably a perception to find the file that has orders in it.
Yep. And actually, it's possible that you could initiate that as, if the timing is right, that you don't even have to do anything with the drones. Like, they'll just send it to a location.
Yeah, that was my idea. I'm trying to put an order in, not control anything myself.
Okay.
There's no system to yep, there's an order here. Send 10 of the trucks to go do their thing.
So I'm going to suggest either I'm going to get off the line with Obez, or I'm going to ask someone else to contact Noise and see if he can commandeer a warehouse to another warehouse to act as the intermediary, so that we don't draw attention to Obez's stuff. So basically, just a place that would we're gonna offload the cargo containers into the warehouse, and then another set of trucks or whatever are gonna load stuff up and then deliver and then those trucks would go to where Obez is gonna have the fire sale.
Isn't that what
that make sense?
In the first place? We just wanted a warehouse. It's up to him to figure out.
But we want to
sell stuff.
Yeah, we want to. So since Obez doesn't have a warehouse that we can actually use the materials for, because he doesn't want to draw the heat down, I'm just suggesting that we contact Noise and see if he can arrange it. Since he's a hacker, I figure he might be able to just I'm going to find a warehouse that's not in use and basically do the same thing to the warehouse that you're doing to the dock.
So he would say, "Oh, I thought you wanted warehouse to sort of set up shop for a day," and it does not sound like that is what you wish. You wish just for cover.
Yeah.
And so I have crew, I have panel vans. We unload what we want. You drop off containers. It does mean we need. You just need something to drop the container off.
Yeah, we need the machinery to get the containers off the trucks.
That is different. If you can do hacking, I am not hacker. I do not, and
we'll get the trucks there. I'm just worried if you're worried about the tracking getting back to you at this warehouse. That's what I don't want to bring down more heat on you than you expect.
No, we're emptying the containers. We're emptying the containers in the middle of nowhere. The containers are going to go home. Everything's going to be fine. All we have to do is empty them.
The containers are not going back to the port.
They're being left at the location.
I don't care what happens to them. They just can't go back. The trucks have to finish a delivery order.
Who had the map soft, and can I use it?
Yeah,
I think we have 2 or 3 shared.
Great. What do I roll for that? Using the map.
Navigation.
Adds 2.
Okay, so if I don't have navigation, it doesn't add 2?
It does, you just default.
Add 2 to your defaulted roll.
Okay. What level is that?
There's no level.
The map soft doesn't have a level?
No, it's just
2. It's just adds 2 dice to whatever roll you're making.
Oh, sure.
What are you rolling, out of curiosity?
Well, here's the problem. You're trying to unload basically a 15 to 20 ton, vehicle. I mean, it's probably not that heavy. It's probably more like 8 tons, but you're trying to unload a gigantic vehicle off of a platform that's roughly 5 to 6 feet off the ground. you're not going to be able to do that successfully without some sort of ramp. So I'm trying to find. I use the MapSoft to try to find somewhere where there's because you'll find like at railheads and malls and other stores and stuff like that where you have a dock that you can back up to with a semi truck and then unload stuff onto like a ramp to bring it down. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to get the truck off there. You'll get everything else off there fine, but you'll never get that truck off that, out of that container off the other truck without
Well,
damaging
the
the Roadmaster.
the shipping containers coming off the truck and being put on the ground.
Yeah, someone can
How?
get in the Roadmaster, jump that motherfucker out of the truck, and we'll be fine.
Well, that's
Jim could do it.
what they're working with the contacts for. Is we need a place to unload and the drone to unload them.
Right. We're working with the contacts to get a warehouse that would have the capacity to remove the container from the trucks. And then the container comes off the truck drives away, and now the cargo to container is on the ground, and we can just open it up and drive the car out.
Sounded like your contact wasn't capable of removing them from the truck. Like they were able to remove the goods, but they weren't able to remove the containers from the truck, it sounded like.
You were calling them different contact.
Let me finish the conversation. Like, I paused so that you guys could have a conversation. Obez says he knows a location, like it's the middle of the night. You can totally, use the location. He doesn't care because he doesn't own it, and it's not going to trace back to him. He can have a crew there, but he doesn't have the capability to use the machinery, is what he calls it. That does unloading. So if you can hack these machines that do the offloading, like, you can do it. It's a warehouse. It's just not one I own or borrow.
So if we also go there and we can hack into the machinery for the cranes, then we'd be good.
Yes, that's what he's implying.
Okay, so I'll turn to Rash and be like, "Is that something you can do?"
Machinery is there and functional. We should be fine.
All right.
It is crappy warehouse. It is fine.
Okay. We were trying to jump through some hoops to make sure that no heat came down on you. That was where the confusion came in.
No, I wasn't sure what you were looking for. Like, if it was just us unloading these cargo containers and you taking them away, that was plan number one. But I did not understand your Russian as well as I understood my English is not great.
I think we've come to an understanding now. All right. Does that sound good, guys?
Sure.
Rash, you have successfully put the order in.
Have I? Okay, I was just gonna ask, like, anything else you want me to roll? But okay.
So
I guess all that's left is for Rash to go and operate the factory or the warehouse.
Yeah. So once that's in, if Van Drew could head over to the warehouse so I can get that taken care of.
And limo crew is probably picking Fumiko up from the bar.
Might be a good idea to keep an eye on the semis to make sure they get loaded up right.
Yeah, that was going to be what I was going to suggest, was that one of the cars needs to stay near the docks and follow them along to make sure that nothing happens.
Okay. So limo crew, I could use perception rolls. And then Woden, I could use a navigation roll as you drive out to the location that he gave you. Look at that beautiful perception, Fumiko. Chaos notices nothing.
Hey, I'm posting.
That's true. queuing it up for like 4 weeks from now?
Oh no, I already did that stuff. I'm making a fake Russian social media account at this point. I'm just filling it with, a few months of backlogged like random images of me.
Katerina Kasan?
Let me check. What's my
Distant
like?
cousin.
I'm not here forever. I might as well just use the name that's on the fake sin.
Oh, that's a good call. Alright, so from the navigation, yeah, you find your way out there. It's a little bit ways out in the bush, but yeah, it's a warehouse, and you can see that they've got 2 of the reaches. Basically the tractors that would offload cargo containers. And plenty of open space by which you can just sort of drop a bunch of the cargo containers there and not worry about it. You also, like, not long after you get there, you spot a bunch of basically panel vans show up, and a bunch of thick-necked men and women, mostly orc, kind of hop out of the vans, crack their knuckles, and it looks like they're ready to get to work on whatever cargo container arrives.
All right, I will get into the system to make sure I know what I'm working with. Does this warehouse have a host, or is it just?
Looks like it's just RCC sitting there.
Is it physically sitting there in the warehouse?
There is, when you go look, there's an office, and what looks to be probably the most ancient RCC you've ever seen. It's desk-sized. There's
log in.
Yeah, you can direct connect into it. Actually, when you look at the desk, somebody's got a post-it note, and there's some Cyrillic there, so you can roll a Russian. You might actually be able to just use it.
It's probably nothing.
For those watching, specifically Fumiko, because the other 2 don't really notice it much, it looks like it's starting on the side that you wanted first. So you know that truck number 2 is going to contain the thing that you want. And it appears it's getting loaded, and they're rolling straight through customs. So 5 hits on Russian does tell you that it basically says blue-eyed baby girl. You think it's a password?
I'll try that one.
It logs you straight in.
Cool.
You also notice the keys on the keyboard all have the same smudge mark over those letters.
Wow, an old person must have been there.
Autosofts for the machinery, or does it need rigged?
This one has no autosofts, or it does, but when you look at the date on them, they're really shitty autosofts.
Cool. Spin Jim, you're up.
Okay.
Have owner permissions.
Great. I own these puppies. Yeah. I guess okay. So the drones have no autosofts. I will start familiarizing myself with one of these things.
Roll me a pilot ground craft. It's a ground craft.
The ground craft?
Yeah.
Not that different from everything else.
Should totally be like a hovercraft.
It's like a ground craft with a trunk, right? Like being an elephant.
Yeah. I think Sean put one in the chat.
No, only to you.
Oh, okay. Let me go grab one of those.
Is he trying to run the wretch?
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Copy image.
It's like a slightly more complicated forklift.
Yeah, ground craft is reasonable for that.
I see. So it's like a grabby giraffe.
It is. It's kind of weird. It's a
realistic features.
It's a forklift, only there's a piece of metal that goes horizontal and it lifts from above the container as opposed to below the container.
So the way a container works is if you see like the edges there, and each four or all four of the edges, there's basically like kind of a hollowed out section there, where there's a nub that goes in and then rotates to lock it in place, and that's how it picks it up.
Yep. They're pretty darn efficient. So yeah, give me a pilot groundcraft as you familiarize yourself before the trucks start arriving. Rash, who would you say the order was placed by when you were making that order?
Definitely Mike Hawk.
Let me see what I have decent knowledge of to be able to actually.
Basically, how good a fake are you making? Are you making it look like they were just robbed blind, or?
It was getting delivered to the Humanist Poly Club.
Okay. Yeah. So 4 successes, like, you've got this thing, like, spinning around like crazy, like, this thing is pretty, pretty capable for something as old as it is. Maybe you want one of these for home.
And as a note, Rash does know what they're doing as far as orders like this. I'm trained in corporate procedures with a specialty in inventory management.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, you've filed all of the forms correctly. No problem. But you figured you might as well troll as well. So yeah, the trucks begin to arrive. They just start, like, Spin Gyms just starts rapidly unloading these.
As they're getting close to arriving, over the comms, Rash will warn everybody. Make sure you keep faces, anything identifiable, away from the trucks if possible. We're hoping to work with Wuxing later. We don't need to be on video stealing from them.
I was waiting for that, by the way. Like you read my mind.
Chaos hasn't gotten out of the car since we left the meeting.
That's fine. I mean, masks are fine. Not being there is fine. We only really need 1 or 2 people.
I'm physically there, so you just shove a mask over my head. I'm guessing.
You're probably in like the control room, not like the warehouse floor.
Okay, I don't know if there's a window or something.
That's fair. But yeah, I mean, we put on masks, like, easy.
I will make a note of going over to the people who are going to offload stuff and let them know that the second container is, don't worry about it.
Roll your Russian.
Damn.
The semi truck will keep its distance, or sorry, not the semi truck. The limo will keep its distance, obviously, and then I'll send a video of the shipping container that had the truck we want in it, so that way they're so they know exactly which one to go after.
Okay.
And then once it seems like the semi trucks are going their proper direction, we'll go ahead and kind of peel off.
All right, all 12 trucks arrive one at a time. They Ben Jim starts unloading it. So Rodin tells them, like, ignore the second container. We got this one.
Rash almost corrects him the wrong way. Really close to a glitch.
Ooh, that would have been also fun. No. You must break the one in the second container. Oh, that is really close to a glitch. And so yeah, you start unloading it, and you see these guys basically as each one gets unloaded, come in quickly, snap the pin on it, pull that doors open, and just start pulling out. At first they sort of scratch their head. The first one they open is filled with what looks to be like ramen packages, like just pallets and pallets of ramen. The second one that comes in, you guys open. They're in its full glory. Is this black Ares Roadmaster with neon pink piping that goes along every edge of it.
Is it covered in
Is it covered in what?
ramen?
No, it is just sitting there. It's got a dust cloth on that you pull off. And then you're still there when container 3 is... Well, actually, you're there for the whole thing because you got to unload all of the trucks. And the trucks immediately after being unloaded start heading back to the facility to go pick up the remaining.
Rash is going to open up the side door of the van and keep an eye out for stuff in the other containers worth grabbing and tossing in.
One of them looks like just the entire thing is filled with Novatech comlinks.
I'll grab a case of those.
Yeah, you can grab a few of them. The guys unloading it are like, "Hey, you're getting."
There's several pallets, I assume.
There are several pallets.
Grab a case off of one of the pallets. That's going to be what, 40 comlinks or something?
A box of those would be 24 comlinks.
Sure.
And they are rating 3 Novatech comlinks.
I feel like that's not enough for them to really complain about me grabbing.
Will do. Sorry. So yeah, you guys, the next one that they unload, because you guys are just sort of waiting to make sure. Now, are you going to unload all 40, or did you only make an order for 24 of them?
I thought there were only 20.
Sorry, there were only 20. You're right.
So yeah, we did all 20 of the mare's shipment containers.
Okay, so you would wait for the trucks to come back for their second load.
You said there were
12 trucks.
12 trucks, and weren't they each carrying 2?
They're only carrying 1.
Oh. Probably would have just put in an order for 12 of them then. So
okay.
we don't have to wait around as much.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, and I knew I wasn't being super clear, so.
Yeah, we were trying to speed up the hacking for the order a bit. Yeah, I would have put in enough that we get as much as we can, but not so much that the trucks are going to double background.
But yeah, so, the next few that you see, they're all sort of foodstuffs, various large amounts, all dry pack, right? Like it's not a huge amount of nothing that really stands out as being super valuable, but cheap goods that would be easy to move through.
No pallets full of canned anchovies?
All right, roll your edge. Maybe there is a pallet of
just nothing but spam.
But yeah, and then there's some boxes of T-shirts that are various Nike slogans. No anchovies. But it does appear to be mostly consumer goods. So if somebody needs Nike T-shirts, pallets of tennis shoes. Yeah, I rolled a bunch of random gear generators, and that's what it mostly came up with.
Levi jeans, I hear they were currency in Russia for many years.
Yeah, there's a single pallet in one of the containers that contains Levi's.
Surprised we haven't hit any people yet. Or drugs.
No. These were the ones that weren't labeled weirdly.
I expect there to have been people sitting in a container that was there
for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to really worry about people in this one. And in terms of drugs, there's one that contains what looks to be like a pack of, basically a pallet of aspirin and antacids, right? Like just some basic
consumer drugs.
Yeah, consumer drugs.
Consumer pharmaceuticals.
So not a whole lot in the way of super high value. It looked like this was just sort of the last shipment that was coming in from Maersk before they lost the contract on the port.
Well, I mean, a shipping container full of comlinks is still a pretty substantial amount of cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also do find one that's anything worthwhile. Nope. That was it. That was the ones that I rolled.
Did we find the one with the?
Yes, you found the car.
Yeah. Well, once we're done,
And the car is not one of them. Oh, shit.
Just making sure. I had to step away for a second to help my son with some homework.
Mm.
do we know where we're supposed to bring the car?
No.
Oh, we needed to contact her about
Yes.
that.
I'll contact Johnson and ask, hey, where do you want the car?
She gives you a address that's located. Pick a random address. Yeah, Abacus Boot Heating. Appears to be a shopping mall, not too far from where you're at, as the crow flies.
Great.
But as you have to drive a ways. She's like, keep the vehicle a little bit, let's say under the radar.
Does it have? Can I change its appearance? Does it have that feature? Or is it
no.
only available in loud?
It is only loud. Let's see if I can figure out what it says on the side. It says, I'm going to put this in a couple different chats. It says that on the side. You can find that in Discord. All stenciled in this beautiful flowing handwriting, in pink, of course. In big letters down both sides.
Oh.
Should I run that through track?
Chaos, you want to use that illusion spell while we drive this over?
She had to step away, but yes, she cast the spell because she did her spell casting it before she left.
Yeah.
So yeah, she can do a Trid Phantasm and basically hide the lettering on it or make it look like a more mundane APC.
What does that say in Russian?
Yes, mistress.
Yes, mistress. She has a type. So yeah, you seem to have no problem getting the vehicle over there. When you arrive, she's there and she's like, I cut short my evening. You've brought me my much beloved weighted present. I wish to thank you from the bottom of my heart. But she is still dressed in the evening get-out that she had before. The only difference is there's an individual with her in full leather face mask with ball gag and completely blinded and has a leash.
And we're just at the parking lot of a shopping mall now?
It's basically a parking lot outside of a shopping mall, yeah. She's like, do not worry about him. He cannot hear anything. He cannot see anything.
He feels everything.
All right, then.
But the promised pay. And then, so she reaches in and grabs a cred stick out and pays you the remaining. So you guys had negotiated up to 100,000, but you each received 2K each.
She said 100,000 plus 2K each.
I have it written down 2K each in advance Because it was originally 90,000, and she moved it up to 100,000.
That was my recollection.
I wrote down that you said 100,000 plus 2,000 each in advance. But
I think he may have said and.
Wow.
Which is, I guess, kind of.
That's fine. You guys can have the extra 2K. She's happy that you did it so fast.
All right.
Yeah. Basically, a single cred stick with 100,000 on it is what you get from her.
Great. Good doing business.
She's like, if you need to look me up, you can ask for Miss Kilmova. My name is, or you may call me Katrina. I may look you up to do additional future work.
Please do.
Thank you, Katrina.
So you would, so if you were gonna put down what she is, we'll just go with her name is Ekaterina, so EK8. I'll write it in. Kilmova. There's a long, too many letters. If it was like Bob, it's Bob. You know, B-O-B. Connection 5. Just put dominatrix.
Is it a so the cred stick? Is it gold, platinum, or ebony?
It is the first one available to hold 100,000, which I don't remember off the top of my head.
Gold can hold exactly 100,000.
Then it is gold. Except for it's gold, but it's all in pink trim, and it has that same Russian phrase on it.
Customized.
She's like, keep it. It's like my business card.
we get one shit with her.
You are going to get, because it was so fast, you're going to gain 2 chits.
Ooh. Do we get one with Obez for finishing the job that he set us up?
You will also gain 2 with Obez because you also looked him up when you needed to offload goods. So Obez, he is a fixer. He is a connection 4 fixer. Specifically a corporate fixer. Then you gained 100,000 yen. And in terms of the difficulty, you are going to gain 2, 3, 4, 6 karma.
What are we calling this one?
I called it inconspicuous with a question mark.
And how are we splitting the?
Yeah. Rash will suggest that we each take 10K and leave the other 20K for the group fund.
Okay.
That includes blue and beef as well.
Did I count right? 1, 2, 3, 4 things.
I believe there's 9 of us.
We each take 10K and there's 10K for the group fund.
And I'm sorry, you said, what did you call it?
Inconspicuous.
Is everybody okay with that split?
I'd be, yeah, that's fine with me.
Is it in addition to the 2K from last week?
Yes.
Yeah.
I need to roll 2d6 to see when you get your next call. Because you guys finished before midnight, which means it is technically still October 3rd.
I should ask, what karma are Attenborough and Spin getting for last week?
It was 6 last week.
We didn't miss much. We finished the combat pretty quickly after. Oh, we did get a public awareness last week, though.
Uh-oh.
Public awareness in Vladivostok. Yeah.
Yep, it is
And
region specific.
I got something else.
Notoriety.
Notoriety. Where do I put that?
Should be on the same section. So if you're using Chummer, it's located on the character info page.
Info?
Also, Knight gained a negative quality,
Okay.
which is wanted.
Okay.
You just don't know.
How do we make public awareness region specific in Chummer, or should I just not worry about that for now?
You just don't worry about it. Or you
So
can
that
put
puts
it in
my-
a separate note.
If I already have notoriety at 1, that puts it at 2.
Correct.
Yeah.
In all likelihood, it will go away when you guys leave the area. It's more of, I would probably keep it as a separate note.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, this means if you ever come back to Vladivostok, people might still remember you because you were involved that one time when people got shot up with lasers and beheaded out front of the nightclub.
Well, whatever do you mean?
So your next run, which will be 6 days after, so October 9th, unless you decide to do things in between the 3rd and the 9th. Actually, I'm going to move that. It's not going to be the 9th. It's actually going to be the 12th.
9 days later.
Just to move my timelines around.
We'll think about what Spin is doing.
And so also the other thing is, if you ever want to know what the rewards are from the previous week, I do put it in Roll20's forum. So if you ever go to the Roll20 page for this particular campaign, you can see all the posts that were made in the past.
I saw that, but since we left early, I wasn't sure if we were getting less karma.
Nope, you're good. You're here for the vast majority of it. Any other sort of questions otherwise?
Can't think of anything offhand.
We have 6 days of downtime until we get a phone call.
So it's October 3rd at midnight, basically, and you will get contacted next October 12th.
6 to 9 days, depending on when they call us exactly.
Yay, time towards learning equality.
Hey, Aaron, before you pop off, I need to ask you a question that I'd messaged you about.
Okay. Otherwise, I think I want to thank everybody for watching the stream, and we'll pick it up next week with the next call. Wuxing is a usual. For this run, they're kind of a sponsor. Wuxing is much more of a, they've been working for someone else, the same person that these people are working for. But otherwise, catch you next week. Have a great week, and stay safe in the shadows.